Is the A7R5 worth looking into in 2026? It is still the flagship camera for Sony in their kind of high resolution stills, but it's been out for a while. And so I wanted to take a look at it. I've been using it for about a year very consistently. I look at it from the perspective of kind of a filmmaker and a heavy video user. Although the A7R5 is more of a stills camera, I use it in that context primarily myself, which is for documentary or archival types of projects. I use it to be able to capture super high resolution imagery, light boxes or tabletop stuff, and just, even old film scans. The high resolution nature of it makes it one of the best scanners, document grabs you can have, especially if you're finishing in 4K and you're making really high resolution videos or films. Having an even higher resolution still camera allows you to do the pan and scan and all kinds of cool stuff when it comes to archival, which is really impressive. It works well in video. It's excellent in stills too. And so, from a video perspective, I think the camera is great and very fully featured. It's not designed for cinema, but I think it totally works as a hybrid camera. And the image quality, the files that come out of it are great. So if you are interested in using the A7R5 for video, you're probably a filmmaker or a video user, in which case you might be interested in these 10 LUTs that I put together. It's a cinema LUT pack. They're free. You can download them, linked in the description. They have LUTs for S-Log3 Cine, which is in the A7R5. So check those out, download them, and let me know what you think. If you're just stopping by to the channel for the first time, welcome. My name's Remzi Atassi. I'm a filmmaker based in Chicago, and I make videos about the art, science, and business of filmmaking and creativity. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe. So I just want to talk about the camera from a high level view, because I know people are probably looking at buying this or deciding if they should wait. And I think it comes down to a lot of it is about the work that you do. So if you are more of a hybrid shooter, I think this camera is a good pick if you are relying more on the still capabilities. But the main reason I got this when I swapped from the A7R4 was the video components. So with the A7R4, I would have never used that camera to shoot video because it had the old Sony codecs. You couldn't shoot S-Log. It did look good. The video footage was good if you shot in a little more baked in profile, but with the workflow that we do now, it's mostly Sony cameras, it's mostly S-Log3 Cine, and so we wanted to have the option to be able to intercut with other cameras. I have an FX9 that I'm shooting this on and an A7S3, but I do still have a need for that higher resolution still cameras. So the video does lack compared to the A7S3 or the FX3. It's kind of hard to put my finger on what exactly that it is. It's definitely less sensitive, and so it's not as good in noisy environments, but there is something, I don't know, a little bit of just kind of magic in the A7S3, FX3 image quality that just pops a little bit more in terms of color and contrast than I think what you get from the A7R5. But putting that aside, it does grade very similarly. If you're shooting, below 1200 ISO in a more controlled environment, I've used this for a lot of multi-camera talking heads. I've never had the camera overheat. I haven't used it outside in the sun, which is the only time you really have those things, but it seems to have fairly decent heat management. I've shot interviews for a couple hours on it with no problem, and it can use the Type A cards, and it can write very quickly, and so I don't think that there's a recording time limit. I don't think that there is. Compared to the A7S3 or the FX3, it doesn't have the time code functionality, which I do really value, but otherwise it's great. The IBIS in the camera is incredible. It can shoot 8K video, but it's H.265 compression, which I'm not really a big fan of because it kind of slows the workflow down. So I stick with the XAVCI codec, and that has always treated me well. So I use the 10-bit 422 XAVCI codec. With video, you are limited to 60p and 4K, which is fine, the S&Q. Again, I'm gonna grab the A7S3, if I'm shooting video, if I want the better quality slow motion, because it does seem better than the R5. But where it shines is just like when I need the third camera. I can pull it out and I don't have to rent something. And then when I need to do stills, if you're doing a still job, this is a great still camera. I've had a lot of the A7R cameras. I had the A7R2 and the A7R4. The 5 and the 4 from a still perspective are very similar, but there are a few differences. It's the same sensor. The images are like 62 megapixels, which is, they're massive. Honestly, they will make your computer run slow. So if you don't need to use them, I wouldn't necessarily be looking at this camera. But if you value the high resolution, this is really your best option in the Sony ecosystem, even now in 2026. Compared to other still cameras that are out, I think it's still quite competitive. Yes, there are cameras with higher burst speed. Yes, you can go up to medium format and get even bigger sensors. And I think there are some sensors that are lower megapixel that probably look a little bit better out the box. But in terms of what you can do with these raw files, I think Sony is completely unmatched still. The dynamic range, the information, the detail, and the ability to recover detail from high noise, very low light environments, despite the resolution, is really impressive. I mean, it's quite good. Compared to other versions, I think it's improved a lot from the old versions of the A7R. But of course, where something like this is gonna shine is gonna be in the 50, 100, 400 ISO environments. Yeah, you lose a little bit on the high end, but it is so clean, it is so highly detailed, and it's just actually fast and efficient to use, which the older A7Rs were not. It has the capability to shoot smaller RAW, which I appreciate because I do sometimes take this camera out, with my kid. You're trying to get the fast photos. You don't wanna have to deal with the huge file sizes. So they have a compressed RAW, a small, medium, and full size RAW that you can use. But then, when you're taking it out on projects, client work, whatever, you can shoot the highest resolution. So I love that feature. I think it solved a lot of the problems that the older Rs had. It doesn't have issues with buffer speed. It's very fast. The new AI autofocus, I would say, is an upgrade on almost all of Sony's other mirrorless cameras. Definitely the FX3 and A7S III cannot compare to this. And the reason is because of the AI subject tracking. So it's really nice to have, like on the FX3, you've got the touch tracking and whatnot. But on this one, after you initiate the touch, or if it gets eye autofocus, it can then intelligently detect your subjects and it will stick around with them, which is really impressive. But I think the biggest improvement versus the other cameras is just, it's there from a functionality standpoint. Like, it's easy to use, it's fast, it's snappy. It has it uses the Creator app on iPhone or Android, which is a really nice feature, and you get the camera control. It works super well. So it's kind of in the new Sony ecosystem, which the R4 was not. So really the only upgrades you're looking at are video related things, AI related things, and sort of the Creator app and interconnectivity. These are actual menus you can kind of configure and jump right into. It's cool. It took me a while to learn that. This is the main menu on the new Sony system, which I rather like. So I always shoot XAVC SI 4K. And I always shoot this codec. Well, that, I guess because it's interframe, it locks you. And for S&Q, 4K, this is how you change the slow motion frame rate. And then you have to switch on the dial between the modes right here. One thing to know is that you, when you go to S&Q, you do crop in a little bit. You don't get the full frame. But because it's oversampled, it does have an APS-C mode that works, which is kind of nice. You don't get that on the A7S III or the FX3. Let's see here. It can do all the basic things that the new Sony cameras, well, I guess new being relative, Sony's can do. You've got your format. Nothing here that important. Audio recording. You can use the top handle, which I do use, and you can record 4 channels of audio, which is nice, XLRs and all that. Timecode is useless on this camera. Image stabilization, this active image stabilization, is just incredible. I mean, but you're using Sony lenses, like you want to be using a Sony lens, it's like you're almost on a gimbal. It's pretty awesome. And it works great for stills too. You can shoot super slow shutter speeds or capture unique action that way. Here you go. Like, since I shoot video, when I'm in the video modes, I keep it here, which is keep it S-Log3, S-Gamma Cine. But then when I go back to still mode, it's set differently. I like to have a nice kind of look, sort of pre-baked and built in. And it has the old menus for the most part, but when you go to video, it does have the video-oriented menus, which is nice. I just wish it had the time code. autofocus. One thing I realized is that you really want this to be quite responsive. I think it's the speed is important to have up. Otherwise, I've noticed it has issues with people's faces when you're doing stills or headshots. It can be just like a little bit slow when there's micro movements. So you want to make sure that the subject is getting captured and you're checking the focus. But it's got a ton of focus things that are helpful. That's for video. But yeah, the main thing is like making sure that this is really responsive and high speed. It can go slower, but it's just not going to be as accurate. So it does have Wi-Fi remote settings, but you're probably not going to want to use those. Yeah, when you're doing remote shooting, I prefer to use PC remote, but otherwise it's your pretty standard Sony menus. It does have this nice little flippy, uppy, downy kind of screen thing. It's handy. It goes all the way this way too. So you can do the little vloggy thing. And that's it, you got the Sony A7RV. Now, looking at it in 2026 versus the competition and the other things that are out there, I think everyone who's in the Sony ecosystem knows and understands that that these cameras kind of need the next iteration. They're getting a little bit old compared to some of the competition. Online, you see a lot of people comparing these features. In the real world, I think it's about the features that are important to you and appeal to you. Open gate is very popular. I think it's a cool, unique thing, but I don't think it's really something that's a deal breaker because there's very little content that really needs that. If you shoot in 4K and you kind of know what the crop is, you still have plenty of resolution to do it. And I think that there's compromises that you have to give up whenever you're in an open gate type of situation. Being able to do higher resolutions would be really nice. This camera does the 8K, but again, it's pretty highly compressed and it's detailed, but I don't find it to be particularly impressive or worth the workflow hassle. For me, it still absolutely ticks the box. I'm interested to see what's coming next, like everyone, in terms of the higher end mirrorless video cameras. But for a hybrid, this is still my favorite, which is why I would recommend it in 26. And with the discounts that are on this camera, it's probably a good time as any to buy them, although I have no doubt that it will be getting replaced in the next year or two. So the verdict is yes, I am keeping the camera. It does not replace cinema cameras. It doesn't even really replace the cinema mirrorless. But if you're looking for a hybrid that can do the super high resolution stuff, it's cool. I mean, it's nice to take a photo and you can put it on the side of a building and it still looks good. I mean, who doesn't want to do that? So if you're looking at this and you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Well, that's all I have on this. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe.